I don't know what's going on. Sorry,
no one's in
guys.
it. Yeah, apologies.
Oh yeah, no one's watching yet.
No one's watching. The signal just dropped out, so I'm sure some of you will come back again in a bit. Anyway.
Hopefully this works.
You need to delete that.
Oh, okay.
So where were we?
Well, no one's watching, so we're not anywhere.
We can just talk about our lives.
Yeah, give us a sec, guys. I do apologise.
Two people watching. Hey, 2 people back. Anyway, look.
We found some people then.
18 back. Okay, apologies. Sorry about that. Just dropped out. We are using a 4G signal here, and we'll see how it all works. So apologies for that. So just to bring you back into the fold, and for those of you new to what's going on here, we left France. We've been in France for 2.5 months. We got wind that the UK authorities were going to impose quarantine on arrivals from France. We phoned up Jersey, and they said, yeah, you can come in, but you need to have you need to quarantine for 7 days. So that's where we are, and we were pretty cool with that. They've been pretty nice to us. All I would say is thank you to everyone in Jersey Marina, Jersey VTS, everyone that's kind of like looked after us from the minute we got here, actually. So firstly, we got in, I think, was it Tuesday? Tuesday, and you know, the chap, Dan, from the marina's like, are you going to go on this isolation pontoon? And we're like, okay, there's no water and electricity here, and we can't get off the pontoon. It's literally, there's just water surrounding. And he's like, yeah, you got to be here for 7 days. And we're like, mate, can we go over there? Can we go over there where there's electricity? And yeah, so he's like, oh yeah. Anyway, so they upgraded us to a water and electricity pontoon, which was pretty cool. And then we had our first COVID test literally within an hour of arriving. And they said, look, when that comes back, if it comes back negative, you can then come into the marina, which is where we are now. So after a few days, they let us into the marina. That's pretty cool. So now our quality of life has upscaled a little bit. And then they said to us, look, seeing as you've had one test, as long as you wear a mask, you can go into the food shop, go and get food. So that's what we've been doing. So we went to Marks and Spencer's to get some quality British fare, including real ale, pork pies, Scotch eggs, and all the other things that we've been missing. So that's where we are. Terysa, what are you up to over there, my love?
I'm just getting rid of that first.
Okay. So that's where we are. So we are going to be in Jersey for a bit, actually. For a bit, we're going to be in Jersey for probably another week, or probably even 2. I think there's no point being here for a week and then not just enjoying Jersey. So I think we're going to enjoy Jersey and then spend a week here, and then we're looking for a weather window to head north. We're hoping that Guernsey opens up, so we can stop off at Guernsey because it's beautiful. It also breaks our journey up. But again,
hi, Julian.
We'll be
Julian's here.
We'll be at the mercy of the bailiwick of Guernsey, because they're not letting anyone in unless you're from the Isle of Man. You can only go to Guernsey if you've been.
Oh, hey, Hugh.
So there you go. So have we got some hellos to say?
Yeah, definitely. Sorry, I've said hello to a couple of people that I've kind of recognised. Otherwise, let's kind of start kind of at the top. Oh, Marie. Hello, Marie. Frank, Marty, David, Steve, Rob, Ralph or Rafe. Our nephew's name is Rafe, but okay. Some people pronounce it Ralph.
Thank you, Eric.
Thanks, Eric. That's lovely. Kevin, Petra, Eric. So hello to everyone watching, and I do apologise if anyone was caught up in that first live feed. We went live for about 30 seconds and then it dropped out. I don't know why. I'm really hoping that was a one-off thing.
Sometimes it does. I've also seen a comment that says the audio is low. The audio on iPads is low. We cannot tether off a local SIM card. So this is all unfortunately we can do, which is why we haven't been able to do a Patron only feed this time. As soon as we get back to regular cellular data, we'll do a Patron feed again.
Yeah, we can't use our laptops because we can't tether off of our SIM cards.
So anyway, Brooke, hello, I hope you're feeling well. So anyway, Q&As, answers, if you have questions for us, if anything you want to know, anything you want to ask, just feel free to ask. We'll try and get those answers across to you. And because we normally get a lot of people asking questions, if your question isn't answered, ask it twice, 3 times, and we'll get to you. So Travis, first question says, are you able to provision in quarantine? Yes, we are. We the contact tracing people at Jersey are really good. They actually phoned us. They phone us daily to find out if we're okay. And the last time they phoned, I said, look, can we go and get some food, please? Like, there's literally a supermarket over there. We've got one negative test already. She then sent us an email saying, yes, you can go and provision as long as you wear masks. So yes, we are.
Yep, so quite a few questions already about Ruby Rose 2. That's no surprise, I don't think. Lots of people want to know more about her, including us. We want to know as much as possible. We don't have all the answers just yet, particularly in regards to delivery date. So as literally everyone in the world knows, there's this like pandemic thing going on right now, and delivery dates are a little bit flexible results. So delivery will be next year. Latter half of next year. We don't know exactly when yet. We're hoping, obviously, as soon as possible.
Yeah, we're thinking it's going to be third, fourth quarter, 2021.
Yeah.
The boat's going to take about 6 months to build. So 6 months, 6 year a month to build the boat. So I think they're going to start. She should come out of the mold probably about April.
And then be built.
And then built after. So from April onwards, quarantine, pandemic aside, we will be trying to get to Vietnam to film that build. There's a lot. Even if we didn't have a YouTube channel, I'd want to get my beak straight into that build to see what's going on there. I think that if you are building a boat, it is so important to go and see it while it's being built, just so that you can look at things like where conduit runs are. It makes the whole maintenance process far simpler down the line.
Yeah, I wasn't actually that involved with Ruby Rose 1, but when we were getting Ruby Rose 1 built, Nick was down there like almost every weekend, and it really was helpful. And I think we're both excited to kind of see her kind of develop.
It's going to be a pretty amazing adventure. I mean, we're super excited about that.
And someone asked about whether we're getting hull number 1. No, we're getting hull number 2. So they believe that hull number 1 will take about a year to build, and ours, they're hoping will take around
6 months.
6 months. Is that from the point where it's released from the molds?
That's not. Hull number 1 will also take 6 months. I think it's going to take a little bit longer. It's not a year to build. It's 6 months now. The first 6 boats are 6 months. The reason that we didn't want hull number 1 is that you can see so many things on renders, and you can see so many things with 3D walkthroughs. There are things that I wanted to kind of, sometimes tweak. Sometimes you want to tweak things a little bit, and in that case, we wanted hull number 2, and we took that on advisement, and Seawind were pretty happy to do that. I mean, hull number 1 will be an amazing boat for the owners of hull number 1. Don't think there's anything wrong with it. It's that sometimes you can sit there and tweak things a little bit. So we were given option of hull number 1. We said, look, we'll take 2, so that if once we've seen 1, we're like, actually, could you put that there, move that around a little bit?
And this isn't, by the way, something that is like just kind of a Seawind 1370 thing. This happens with hull number 1s like across the board. Hull number 1 is always slightly different to hull number 2, hull number 3, hull number 4. There's always like tweaks that the builder makes, because the owners of hull number 1 are like, actually that doesn't work, you shouldn't do that, put that there or whatever. So it's not just us being like difficult customers. No. It's an organic process. Anyway, let's move on. So I've seen a couple of questions about so a couple of questions asking about my vertigo. Those of you who haven't seen this week's episode, which was released yesterday, obviously you can watch it on our channel. And I fell off, hit my head, landed on my head actually, and I had vertigo, whiplash and vertigo for a few weeks after that, and I was like, what the hell, because I'd never had it before. So there's been lots of well wishes from our lovely viewers regarding my vertigo. I'm fine, by the way, I'm totally fine.
You are fine. You are fine. I keep poking you and telling you you're fine. Yes, nothing wrong with you. Nothing wrong with you. Just welching off your chores, isn't you? Oh no, my vertigo, I can't possibly clean the bilges.
Yeah, that's so like me. Okay, so let's move on.
Well, Magdalena,
go for
there's
it.
a question there, asks, when are we first planning on going to Vietnam? Now, really, at the moment, the way we're planning 2021 is just pretend that this global pandemic doesn't exist, and then we'll work around it. So at the moment, if the global pandemic wasn't existing, we would probably be
is
going
this live?
March.
Yes, it is. Hello to you who just asked whether this is live.
We'd probably think about going March. So March, April, I think, for the first hull number 1 kind of at the mould. I'd want to be there for that point, so that you can.
Yeah. Just a quick note, I've seen quite a few of our patrons pop up, and generally, as we said, we do a patron only live feed before the public live feed, but because of boring technical stuff, we can't do that this time. So if our patrons have any questions, then please, I might miss them if they're just like coming up on the screen. So please, I've got my phone with me, message us. You've got so many ways of messaging us directly. Send me a message and I'll make sure the question's answered.
So yeah, Ruby Rose 2, so yeah, we will be filming the entire build for the 6 months, really from April to October, and then we're going to obviously take delivery of it and sail off. And there is so much that we're doing. It's not like we're just sat around drinking cider here. There is a lot of kind of work we're doing on fitting her out, what what we're going to put onto the boat, the weight of the boat, the different components that go into it. So yeah, so there's a lot going on there, and we're pretty excited about it. But it's complicated stuff. But we are being led by Seawind. There's a lot of people that go, I want to put 2 dishwashers in the boat. We are. If Seawind say to us, no, that's too heavy, then we're going to be okay. We won't do that.
Yeah, our kind of mission with this boat is to keep her. I guess is to allow the boat to be kind of true to its design. Like it's supposed to be a performance cruiser, and we want for it to be performance orientated. We don't want to be taking away from that by adding loads of weight. We want to enjoy the boat for the way that it was meant to be sailed and lived on. Okay, so there's just a quick question regarding regarding delivery. Are we taking delivery in Vietnam? We don't know yet. Lots of kind of issues. Not quite sure what the situation is going to be there. I think our preference would be to take delivery in Vietnam, but we just have to work out logistics. And
I think a lot of it is going to be about boat shows. This is going to be the first, the second boat available, and the European boat shows, they're going to want to see, people want to see this boat.
Yeah, and the American boat shows. So, I mean, normally in the normal course events, obviously holds number 1, 2, 3, 4-ish, like they're often recruited to be part of the boat shows. And so, yeah, Seawind have definitely
they want the boats there.
Made it clear that they would like our boat to be, at one of the boat shows the following year. So it's just a matter of working all that out. We're not quite sure.
It always does.
So where would you go if you can't go to Vietnam due to politics? Was a question. The only reason we couldn't go to Vietnam is if there were like travel restrictions due to COVID. We went to Vietnam last year. That's where we toured the Seawind factory, and we met the team for the first time. The whole team. So yeah, there's no issues with going to Vietnam. Okay, so let's move on. There was a good question actually about one of the questions was, how's the weather? Always good to discuss the weather quickly. That's a very British question. The weather's very changeable. It's the middle of summer. It's all over the place. But the other question was about what are we doing this winter? Which is an excellent question.
We don't know.
We don't know. It's a very simple answer. We don't know what we're doing this winter. We are not going to have Ruby Rose. There's been some questions about what's going on with Ruby Rose. We're taking Ruby Rose back to the UK. And we're handing her over, and she'll no longer be, on our she'll no longer belong to us. We don't believe. So we are kind of factoring in.
We've got some scenarios.
Yeah.
There's no plans. We're like, if this happens, we'll do this.
Yeah.
If this happens, we'll do this.
Exactly.
Our plan. I mean, obviously now, if all things being equal, we should have gone to Annapolis in about a month's time. That we should have been off to the Annapolis boat show to kind of see, our patrons and everyone there. But we can't. Even if this boat show goes ahead, we can't get into America. So America's banned us, and we're not meant to travel, and we can't get travel insurance. So that's off the cards. So we're really just rolling with it. We've got kind of funny little plans.
Yeah.
A couple of questions that I have seen about what's happening with Ruby Rose 1. Ruby Rose 1 is under offer. Some of again, people have questioned us, said, who's buying the boat? When is she selling? I am so superstitious about this sort of thing. Once she's sold, then we'll inform you. But it's just superstition. I'm proper sailor.
Well, this is the third time she's been under offer.
No, it's the first time I've been under offer.
Well, okay, the first time, yeah, okay, but we've had other offers.
Okay, so what happened was we've had offers put in before. Someone pulled out because they were in a chain, and then another person pulled out because they were just dicking about. This chap, this couple, they're a lovely, lovely couple, and honestly, I could not be happier to be passing the boat on to a couple that actually want to sail her. And you know, when they came to see the boat, we're like, what are you going to do with her? I mean, obviously, as a seller of a boat, you shouldn't get the choice as to who has her. This couple, they're like, no, we're going to sail her, we're going to do ABC with her. A lot of it is like the med and stuff initially, but they've got big plans. So I'm like, okay, yeah, I know.
The med's pretty big.
It's pretty big. So
The med's a good enough plan.
yeah, so there you go. So that's good. While we're there are 467 of you watching, 471. Can you all click the thumbs up thing so that we can get some thumbs up? That's what we want to do. Kevin asks, is there any bush left? There are 2 cans of bush.
They'll be going to the new owner. Okay, so a quick question from one of our patrons, Lisa. She wants to know about Jersey, and quite a few questions I've seen have been popping up asking about Jersey. So Jersey's part. The other day when I posted on Instagram, I'm like, we're coming to Jersey, and there were a lot of
Jersey, how you doing?
How you doing? American followers who were like, oh my god, like I live in New Jersey, I'll come and see you, and I'm like, yeah, we're going to the Jersey that's like 40 miles away from France.
Not New Jersey.
Not Jersey. New Jersey, that's across the Atlantic, so going the wrong way.
It's not the Sopranos and kind of like and pizza and all this mad stuff and the Jersey Tunnel.
So Jersey,
Bergerac.
Jersey is a part of the Channel Islands in the English Channel. They're a funny kind of bunch of islands. They're like self-administered, part of the UK, but also not part of the UK. I'm really not sure exactly how they kind of run themselves, but Jersey is its own kind of administration, and they are letting in anyone who wants to come, as long as you have a COVID test on arrival. And we unfortunately were coming from France. Well, the unfortunate bit was that Jersey have now put France on like an amber warning. We have to have 2 COVID tests 5 days apart, and we have to isolate until we get our second result. But this is not our first time. At least the second part of the question was, is this your first time in Channel Islands? No, it's actually not. We've done 2 kind of summer cruises to France before. This was like in our previous life when we lived in London, and we came back via the Channel Islands both times. First time in Jersey though, we always used to go north to Guernsey, and then to Alderney, but Guernsey and Alderney aren't at the moment, so.
Crowned in style, thank you so much for that.
Yeah,
so it's pretty nice. It's very different to New Jersey.
And I've seen this question a few times. Kevin wants me to say, wait, I can't say it. Can you say that word?
Ohio.
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 Ohio. Why can't I say that?
What Jesus, his name is wrong with you. It's 4 letters.
I never realised I wouldn't be able to say that word until I tried to say it. Ohio. I got it. Ohio.
Alright, enough.
Sorry.
Enough. Anyway.
A friend of mine is from Ohio. Allison.
She is. You can say Allison, which has got more letters. Let's try an even short letter like dog.
Don't ask me to say anything. Obviously, it's too much for me.
Yeah, welcome to the high quality Ruby Rose output today.
Try Iowa. That one was easy.
Enough.
Iowa.
So we've had a few questions about Ruby Rose 2. Again, we are putting another video together. There's so many, we get literally hundreds of emails about what are you doing with this, ABC, didn't you? I think that rather than...
Wow, thanks, Sam.
Thank you, as always, sir. Sam, once she's had a couple of glasses of wine, I will try to get her to pronounce Ohio.
Ohio.
So we've had a lot of questions about Ruby Rose 2 and what we're putting on her, how we are fitting her out, what is going to be different from the regular Ruby Rose to kind of the Ruby Rose 2 version. We're putting a video out because there's so much information I want to put across to you visually. However, what we did put into the first video, and I think this is the important thing, because when I watched it back, I thought that's probably not as clear as I could have made it. I think we put 58, we wanted 58 features put into our boat, into Ruby Rose 2. So those 58 features range from huge things like the way we power the boat, to things like Korean work surfaces. One thing that is a real bugbear for me in any boat, monohull or multi-hull, is that the galley is just so rubbish. It's perfunctory. You don't get a decent galley. Even we've had friends that have got like we had friends with the Discovery 55 that had a really nice galley.
I said nothing wrong with that galley.
No, but only because she ripped out the stupid stove and put in like a $4,000 like stove. So I wanted a galley that was like, you know what, we're going to get a boat. This boat is going to have a decent galley because we do cook all the time. So part of the thing that we put into Ruby Rose 2 was we want definitely like a really good quality galley. So for us, it's a couple of things. Corian work surfaces. I want really good mineral work surfaces. So that basically is going to make the plate, make it look really, really nice. And we went to Discovery, went to Seawind, and they're like, it's 70 kilos that Corian. You need to offset that. So we're like, all right, we'll make savings elsewhere by going for carbon bits on the boat.
Maybe you can just get off the boat every now and again.
I don't waste. Oh, I do waste 70. Of course, I waste just a mere 70. Christ, 70 was like 18, babe. Really strict. So other things like, yes, and someone's asked, induction stovetop, induction oven. Those things are really important to us. So so I want to be able to cook as I could at home. So the oven is going to be a dual function. I think it's a Bosch. I think it's like an oven, electric oven, but also a microwave, just to kind of keep all that compact. And then other things like saltwater faucets, we want that as well, just so you can do saltwater rinse. Again, it's really important for liverboards. And other bits that I thought, well, why do we do this? I mean, you know, for instance, having a chute that goes straight to the sea, where you can then kind of deposit organic matter when you're sailing, rather than putting it into bins. So that, and we also want a chute that goes to a dedicated recycling bin, because again, compartmentalizing garbage is actually a really big thing to try, so you, especially with a long passage, you're not kind of heaping it all up. So the galley for us is one thing that most of those are options that aren't going to be on Ruby Rose 2, but there are, I think, about, I don't know, at least 40 that we put in where all those options are going to go into the regular boat. So it doesn't matter whether you buy the Ruby Rose 2 version of the boat or you buy just a standard 1370, a lot of those options are just going to be built in. And they're things, we've had nothing to do with the architectural design of what makes it go fast, what makes it go slow, what makes it perform. Nothing to do with that. It's not our remit. What we bring to the table is, firstly, it's two things, and I think these two things are pretty equal in kind of like magnitude. The first is that we have lived on board for 6 years, so we know what works and what doesn't work. We have literally been and done it, and some features you get on boats, you're like, it's a nice idea, but it didn't work. And then contrarily, you find, you know, you get on the boat, you're like, well, why haven't they done that? Why would you not do that? And that's the first thing. The other thing is, and this is what I said in the video, shamelessly, we have seen every single catamaran, or just about every single catamaran that is on the market. So we can go in and go, that's clever, or we'll have that, that's nice, and we'll have that. And so we've literally kind of homogenized the best features of all these boats, and went to Seawind and said, look, can you put that bit from that boat, this bit from that boat, so that we've got something which takes the best of both worlds, and they have done.
Okay, so I've got some good questions. Sorry, I had to like get in there. Sometimes I feel like, you know, those journalists who are like doing interviews on like live TV, and the person that is like the interviewee just like won't stop talking, and you can like see the journalist kind of being like,
That's
how I feel like with you sometimes. Anyway, I'll ask you some more questions about.
Go on then, off you go.
If I dare. What sails?
Don't know yet.
Racing or standard ones, or the ones in between?
To be confirmed. Regarding the sails, I definitely think we're at least going to go for laminates.
Yeah.
It's whether we go for the high-end laminates or the middle laminates.
Yeah.
Don't know yet.
And what about an ice maker?
No, and the reason we're not going for an ice maker is that, firstly, space and weight are a little bit of a premium. The tabletop ice maker, which we have on this boat, is perfectly adequate for what we need. The other thing is, we have heard huge reliability issues around dedicated ice machines, and you know, either because they stop working or because they drip. So there you go.
Another one. How much power does an induction hob consume? So
we're looking at about 2 kilowatts. So 2 kilowatts for the hob, and 2.5 kilowatts for the oven. So on a 12-volt system, you're looking about 150 amps.
And carbon coat roof to offset the Corian?
Maybe. Yeah. We're looking at that. We're looking at the carbon coat roof pretty hard as an option.
And will we be installing anything after delivery, or is everything being done at the factory?
Probably, probably we're going to get everything done at the factory.
I mean,
Subject is to be confirmed. Honestly, we're pretty content with Seawind. We've seen the factory, and the difference here is, and when we looked at the options, a lot of them there's not a lot of markup on those. As a rule of thumb, whatever you can buy the part for, it costs 2.5 to 3 times that to fit it. So because you have to pay for labour and other bits to fit. So
sorry. Are you going with lithium, and how much, and how much solar?
We are. So basically, what has happened is we're working with Mastervolt.
Turning to like just a massive because our spec list.
So Mastervolt, we're going for the upgraded solar package. So that's 2 kilowatts, so 2,000 watts of solar, or it's 1920, and then it's I think 864 amp hours of lithium. Now a lot of people have said to us, well, why don't you just put loads and loads more lithium in? And realistically, there's no point in doing that unless your solar bank on your regeneration bank matches your battery bank. You're just wasting weight and money. So though the battery bank is matched to the solar bank and the alternator, so that's where we are with that.
And question. Oh, someone asked whether we're getting a screecher. So what coloured cells are we actually getting?
So we're going to go for coloured cells. We'll be going with a code 0 and a code D, so a deeper downwind sail.
And are we considering composting heads?
No.
No, we're going to have electric
No.
heads. And we are going to love them, I'm sure. What brand for nav and electronics?
It is B&G. B&G, we're pretty happy with that. There's certain things that I really do want certain B&G components. I'm pretty keen on their forwards facing sonar, just for anchorages and other bits and bobs. So yeah, all the electronics will be B&G on this boat.
And what size dinghy?
3.6, I think. It's a high field 3.6 side console. Yeah.
And do we know what outboard we're going to
No, we haven't analysed the outboard.
Are we doing flexi teak?
Not sure.
I don't think so. It's too heavy.
There are alternative options
materials
for carpet.
What are they called? What's that other material called?
Don't know. It's like a vinyl flooring, but it looks really nice. We're gonna get some. Waiting to get some samples.
Yeah, I don't like the word vinyl kind of conjures up some really kind of
70s porn set.
But this stuff is lovely. But we need to see it in person. We've only seen photos.
And someone said, "Are we going for the dual electric throttles?" I think so.
Yeah.
Because they look super smart. Like literally, it's kind of like the old Engage. We are going to do that. I'm going to get Star Trek outfit.
A question from me, Terysa. I hope you're feeling better. How's the vertigo? I said at the beginning of the live feed that my vertigo is fine. Thank you so much, everyone, for your well wishes. It was a knock on the head and whiplash, one of which or both of which led to vertigo, and now I'm okay. Thank you, everyone. And everyone's been coming up with their vertigo stories, and I feel bad for complaining that I had vertigo for
I had vertigo.
Week. Have you?
Yeah, I drank 12 pints one night, and then I woke up with my head was spinning and everything was the room was going round and round.
A lot of people who watch our videos apparently suffer from vertigo as a chronic thing, and I, as I said, felt really bad after that I complained that I suffered from it for a week because it's not fun. So
Jeffrey's asked, hello Jeffrey, are we having underwater lights? Shady yes.
Yeah.
Literally, it's kind of pimped my boat. So yeah,
after being in the Caribbean for a few years and seeing all of these catamarans have these awesome underwater lights, we're like, we can't not do that. Yeah. It's just too. Yeah. It is a little bit ostentatious, but it's also just fun.
A little bit ostentatious. That's like gold plating your own head. That's ostentatious.
Yeah.
So,
a question from Sailing Ixion. Did you ever consider electric motors? We've had a lot of questions about electric motors.
No.
Well, we considered them.
Consider them and discounted them. Yeah. Honestly, if you've seen that interview we did with Dan and Kika, they absolutely, they are brilliant, and what they do is amazing. We decided to go with diesel engines or diesel motors a long while back. So this is probably 6 months ago. We made that decision. We're going to go diesel because the regenerative system of these alternators the kind of master alternators, means that even pulling out of an anchorage for 20 minutes, you charge your batteries. The boat is also so light and should perform so well that you're very rarely going to need to use the engines. So putting diesels in is fine, but when you need diesel engines, you need them. And as I said, 6 months ago we made this decision. Having spent the last 3 months in tidal Atlantic France, I'm telling you this much, electric motors will not, you can't sell around here as electric motors.
What, cut the mustard?
Not at all. Not at all.
You're motoring into like 4 knots.
We've actually, was it last month we got the boat going backwards?
Yeah.
We actually got the boat for the first time to go backwards at almost full revs. We had 5 knots of current against us. There is no way you can do that with electric motors for more than 6 or 7 hours.
I mean, it depends on, like, look, people are building electric catamarans, like fully electric catamarans. They are going for the electric motor option, and I'm like behind them all the way, and I'm watching with interest like everyone else is. I think that we just know what we want, and we know the type. More importantly, we know the type of cruising that we do, and we're not going to change our style of cruising. And we would have to change the style of our cruising in order to have electric engines, because you essentially have to commit to only putting the engine on like very sparingly, and being happy to be, you know, just allowing the weather to blow you, you know, along when there's wind, and when there's no wind you just sit there. And you know, we're not really comfortable with that. It's not just because we're impatient to get into port, you know, like for safety reasons, and you know, we want to be able to put the engines on and get from A to B if we need to do that. And also from a kind of fully green, like you know, purely renewable energy concept, it doesn't really stand up. I mean, you can do it, like I know that Jimmy Cornell's doing like the fully green catamaran with Outremer, and I think that's fantastic, but most cruisers will still need a diesel generator to power the batteries, and to power the batteries to also run the engines, mind you. So it kind of becomes a bit of a pointless exercise as far as I can see. But
everything's a compromise. And honestly, we talked, you know, even off camera, we talked to Dan and Kika a lot about this, but that interview, I think he said, look, you know, and he's absolutely correct in not pinning down a range to an electric motor, because it does depend on, you know, many factors. But sometimes, you know, these ports around here, because there's a tidal range here is like 8 meters, so that's 24 foot in 6 hours, which means that the flow of water is huge. There is no way, and sometimes, you know, if you've got to do 60 miles, you have to punch tide. There's no way you can't do it in one tide. You're not in the middle of the ocean, and you also have to try and time your arrival at a lot of ports, because there's like an hour either side of high water. So you need, you know, coastal sailing in tidal waters. An electric motor is just not going to work for us.
There's a follow-up question saying from Natural Look.
I've got a natural look.
Yeah, you sure do. Saying, sorry to dwell, how come the generator can't push the electric motors non-stop like a Chevy Volt? I don't know what a Chevy Volt is. I'm assuming you.
So it can do.
Yeah.
So this is
that's exactly what I was saying, right?
So yeah, a lot of people are like, oh, I've got electric motors in my boat. You know, isn't it green? But then you've got a massive generator, a genset. This is the point. So what compromise are you making? You're still burning fossil fuels. That's the first thing. Second thing is, in 6 years that we have been sailing, the repair that we've seen more often on any boat is the bloody genset. The gensets always break down. Oh, they chewed up another impeller, and then that is your only source of, you know, if you're in a wind hole and your genset goes down, because they run at different revs, or you've got to have a really big one. So then what you're doing is, you know, relying on a genset for the sake of trying to prove a point that electric motors. And let me finish this point. So firstly, genset, it's just, you're taking a little bit, really. You're still burning fossil fuels. That's the first thing. Second thing, if you go with diesel engines, you've got 2 engines, so you've got a backup. So I mean, that, you know, the absurdity there will be having 2 electric motors and then 2 gensets. But you know, and the third thing is, these electric motors, I think Dan was saying they're 48 volt, right? And they're pretty complicated pieces of kit. I know an electric motor in principle is just something which is, you know, it's coils and magnets, but the control system is a whole amount of jiggery pokery. And if you're sailing remotely, it doesn't matter, you know, you go to some Polynesian atoll you will find someone that's got a tractor with a diesel engine, and so someone will know how to fix a diesel engine if you can't. You know, if you blow a gasket, you can remake a gasket with newspaper if at a push. So diesels can still be fixed using mechanical tools. You can't do that with a motor. So really, you know, when we went for these electric throttlers, there has to be a mechanical backup. Everything for us has to have a mechanical backup.
And there has to be redundancy.
Yeah, and Sam's just said, look, there you go. Owns a Fisher Panda. What was the comment?
It says own a Fisher Panda, learn to hate generators. More I think time spent on repairs, or maybe more money spent on repairs over 400 hours use than the generator costs for you. Yeah.
I'm not knocking any brand of generator, but people tell us, sailors and cruisers, the generator is the most unreliable thing on a boat.
I mean, we just thought that the system where you have solar panels, lithium batteries, and that kind of powers your boat most of the time, and then you've got these 2 diesel engines that with alternators that can also power the battery bank. That to us just seems like a really simple, straightforward system. And then once you start having like electric motors plus a diesel generator to power the motors, plus a diesel generator, or the same diesel generator to power the batteries, the house bank, it just, I don't know, to me it just seemed really convoluted.
And just a point, you know, this boat is going to sail. I don't think we're going to use I don't think we're going to use those motors much, the engines much at all. I think the sailing characteristics of that boat are going to be so good.
Yeah.
And I think that the regeneration, the solar bank is so large that we're going to very rarely need the solar bank, those alternators.
Yeah.
I think it's a backup, and you will find that we'll get, like, you know, if you motor out of an anchor, out an anchorage or into an anchorage, you know, you know, 20 minutes each way, and you've got a bank charge. I mean, these are both 200 amp alternators. So
anyway, I think that's we've kind of made that point.
Yeah.
Okay, so one question asking about what do you think of the storage in the galley? I'm worried it's a little bit small. This is something that we've been getting a lot of feedback on, and we have gone to Shane about this, and because the diagrams and the kind of the
when you say Shane, do you want to explain to everyone who Shane is?
Shane is like
the guru. He's head of Seawind. He's like the
boss. I don't know what his role is.
I think he's a manager of Seawind, but he's an engineer. And the thing about him is he's not a salesman. He's a really, really top quality engineer. So you say to Shane, does this work? And he'll give you all the reasons, you know, and a lot of explanation. So yeah, carry on, please.
Well, I was just going to say that we've kind of gone back to Shane and said, look, can you like give us a bit more of a breakdown and a little bit more information on the galley and exactly what like the storage situation is. And he is going to come back, and I think that we have already mentioned a couple of times, but always an opportunity to kind of punt it a little bit more. In a few weeks' time, we're going to be publishing a video where we sit down and we talk with Shane virtually over, you know, Zoom or something, and actually get all of these questions answered, and it will be like the top, I don't know, 6 or 7 questions that we've been getting asked, and that also that Seawind are getting kind of asked from customers or potential customers. And the galley storage situation is one of the top questions. So we are going to like delve into that in great detail and give you basically all the information that you need to know on the galley storage situation.
However, to the best of my knowledge, if you look at the catamaran, basically in the hulls there is 6'6" of headroom. Now that basically means that when you go down the starboard hull steps, there is going to be a wall on the port side as you go aft, which essentially is the back face to the galley. And there is that, I believe that's going to be completely storage. So there is going to be a lot of storage in addition to the galley storage, I think, subject to confirmation, in that part of the boat.
It's not something that we're worried about. We
No,
have,
not at all.
you know, like I don't know, we don't have like we have a bread machine at the moment, but that's not coming with us. We're not going to have like all these like kitchen gadgets. We're going to keep things really simple.
Like rice cooker.
Yeah. Well. Okay. So, what size or brand of anchor is coming with your boat? I don't know. Do we know that yet?
No, not to be confirmed. We're still. I need to. Actually, that's on my list this week to discuss with Shane. Is that they've got this really fancy new bow roller mechanism. When I say fancy, it's simple in design, but it's meant
Simple
to be.
and fancy.
No, it's because the problem is that with catamarans, it's sometimes really difficult to get the bridle on, and that really drives me nuts. We were doing this on our catamaran in Thailand. You're literally swinging around like a baboon, like trying to get the bridle onto the chain. And apparently they developed a system where it's super simple, but that means that the anchor has to be stowed kind of more, not at the bow of the boat, but kind of like more towards the mast, which also brings the weight, centralizes the weight, which is really good for performance. But it means that a roll bar anchor has to fit into the bow roller.
So a couple of questions. This question's come up a couple of times. I thought I kind of answered it before, but maybe I didn't. Where are we going to cruise to? Where is the first place we're going to cruise to once we take delivery of Ruby 2? And someone asked also whether Ruby 2 was going to be the name of the next boat. Yes, we're calling her Ruby 2. We don't know the answer to the question about where we're going to cruise because we don't know, as we explained before, where we're going to be. We'd love to be able to cruise, we'd love to ideally take delivery in Vietnam, sail to, Malaysia,
I think
Thailand.
We will. I think that's the plan.
It depends on timing because if Seawind are actually we need that boat next month at a boat show in Europe, then we're not going to have time to do that. But if if things kind of go smoothly, massive if these days, and we can take delivery kind of sooner, then we'll have time to do that.
We'll work it out.
We hope to cruise Southeast Asia a little bit first, and whether that's 2 weeks, 2 months, or 6 months, we don't know.
Yeah. Someone's asked about C-Zone. Yes, we are putting a full C-Zone system in, and honestly, there's things on the internet like, I don't trust C-Zone because it's got, C-Zone's got full mechanical backup. Literally, there are breaker switches to back up the C-Zone system. I'm a bit of a nerd when it comes to energy management. It's nice to kind of see what everything's doing. And so yeah, we're putting a C-Zone system.
Another question actually, by someone I think called Martin. You're probably going for 12 volt, but did you consider a 24 volt solar setup?
Yep. And discounted.
Wow, that was a really. I think that. Okay.
Well, you can run.
You don't normally give just single word answers. Let's enjoy it while we can, ladies and gentlemen.
By the way, while I'm not talking for 10 seconds, the 750 of you watching those who haven't liked what we're doing, can you just click the like button? And if any of you have just turned up here and well, actually I should subscribe to these two, please feel free to do that as well. There you go.
So another quick question, we've answered this once or twice, but delivery date for Ruby Rose 2 will be latter half of next year.
Yep.
Not sure exactly when. COVID obviously messing with everyone's plans all around the world. Delivery date of a new boat is kind of it's like first world problems. We're happy to be flexible.
Yep.
Okay, is the galley up or down? The galley's up.
Up.
I think there was a question mark over whether Seawind were going to do a galley down version of the 1370. There was rumours about that, and they've discounted that as an option.
Regarding, and this is the most up-to-date information we have, subject to be confirmed by Seawind, they are not going to be doing any modifications to that boat. So you're not going to be able to say, I want a bulkhead moved, I want extra cupboard space put in here, I want this done, that done. And the reason for it is the boat is in such high demand that if they want to get these boats out to people that want to buy them, I mean, I think they've sold 40 now, or coming up to 40 in under a month, off plan. If they want to get these boats out, then modifying the structure of the boat and cabinetry is just going to push the whole process back. So I think the last conversation I had with Shane was, we want to try and keep this is the standard boat. You can get it in 3 or 4 different incarnations, 4 cabin, 3 cabin, 3 cabin master, and those are what you get. And
no,
the only
customizations.
I think the only customization they are going to allow is to what happens to the forward starboard berth, which is the one which can be a workshop, and that's where my workshop will be, like Geppetto.
I don't know what that means.
Geppetto.
I don't know what that means.
Can anyone inform Terysa who Geppetto was?
Are you showing your age by any chance?
Anyway.
Yeah, a question about what are we going to do.
Okay.
Pinocchio. Oh, okay. What? I forgot what the reference was. Why were we talking about? Geppetto.
Yeah. Geppetto carved Pinocchio.
Oh, yeah. But why were we talking about that?
It was my workshop.
Oh, right. Sorry. I've got the segue. I'm like,
First random. Anyway, pray continue, my love.
the question was, what are you guys going to do this winter? Yeah, well, we answered this before as well, but there's quite a few more people watching now. We have no idea. Ordinarily, in normal times, we would go to Annapolis in October, see everyone, catch up with our patrons, and just kind of have fun. That's not happening this year. Annapolis is going ahead, we just can't get there. And also ordinarily we would go to Australia and see my family and spend some time with them, but we can't do that either because, again, COVID. So essentially we have no idea. We have absolutely no idea. We are going to be homeless and boatless.
So
it's going to be interesting.
We're buying an RV. No, we're not.
We're not.
Look, Sam says come and sail on IoT. We can't get into American waters or Caribbean waters.
We can't leave Europe.
We can't leave. So.
Which is not a bad place to be stuck, but yeah, it's a bit like, I don't know, we're just going to have to be flexible and go with the flow.
We'll work it out.
That's
It'll be
just
fine.
the way it is.
It'll all be fine.
Julien, hello Julien, asks how many episodes before the Hodic Island one? Yeah, Hodic Island was like our favourite place I think this year.
Amazing,
So
place.
nice.
Julien, we are permanently indebted to you for actually telling us to go to
go
Hodic.
there.
Yeah.
I don't know how many episodes Julien, like a lot. We, quite a lot.
There you go.
Okay.
So yeah, and someone's mentioned Nikki and Jason a couple of times now. Yeah, we talked to Nikki and Jason, fairly regularly. We talked about what, a month ago, 2 months ago. They are, I feel desperately sorry for them and everyone else that is kind of like, away from their homes, whether they be floating homes or otherwise. So yeah, we are, they're in limbo, we're in limbo. Kevin D's, moving swiftly away from Nikki and Jason, says feathering prop. Yes, yeah.
Again, very Queen Hudson.
I think Max prop.
A couple of things. What's happening with our wedding? We're supposed to get married next month. Aww.
Yeah.
I wonder what we'll be doing on the day that we're meant to be married.
Maybe we can have a fake wedding.
Oh no, that just makes me sad.
I could dress up as a bride.
Yeah, actually that could be a good idea. No, we're not getting married until
There's a vaccine.
Yeah, until international travel is restored. Because we can't do it without our families, but we could, but we choose not to. So yeah, until my family in Australia and Nick's family in the UK can somehow get together somewhere, anywhere, we don't mind where, then we're not going to be able to do it.
And the problem is, it's about planning stuff. I mean, you have to be able to plan a wedding, and at the moment, until people are all vaccinated, things may close down again.
Yeah,
so
we're meant to get married in Greece, and then, at the moment Greece is like, yeah, all good, but in a few weeks' time, Greece might have a massive spike, and then the UK put in quarantine measures, and then all of our friends and family in the UK will suddenly be like, well, I can't do it. We've got friends in America, who want to come, they can't come to Europe, there's a travel ban. So essentially, until there's a vaccine, then I don't think that we're going to be able to do it.
It's just too stressful trying to organise anything.
Yeah.
Well, trying to organise anything 6 months out, which involves a huge commitment from probably 100 people, just can't happen. 2 of us is fine. We can roll with it. We've got scenarios for, travel. What happens if this happens? What happens if this happens? What happens if we can't leave the UK? I mean, we will be able to leave the UK, and we're going to go somewhere. We are actually going to Croatia in November.
Well, again, we don't know.
Again, subject to confirmation.
Yeah.
To talk about other bits and bobs. So there you go. No, we're not live streaming our wedding.
We'll have enough going on that day.
Yeah.
I'm not getting involved in the whole live stream situation. Dave says, would there be a self-steering system, or will we just go for autopilot? We're just going to go for an autopilot.
Yeah, we talked a lot about hydraulic autopilots and about how they're mounted so that they don't, to remove issues with them kind of like failing. So hydraulic autopilots, will carry like hydraulic fluid and spare bits for the autopilot, but I don't have any I don't have any worries about the autopilot. So no, we're not going for self-steer. And the thing about this is that, on Ruby Rose 1, she's a 38-foot boat. We did the first Atlantic crossing at 6 knots. So that was our average speed over 21 days, coming back 4.9 knots. So, and that took, longer, but we split it into 3 parts. We went to Bermuda and then to the Azores. This new boat is going to be like, she should cruise like a 10, 12 easily.
We've got some votes for Corsica in the comments. people want us to go to Corsica.
Why not?
I'd love to go to Corsica. Actually, anywhere in France would be fine with me.
Yeah, we'll sort it all out.
I've decided I'm not happy about my white t-shirt on this. The camera's just, it's kind of blowing it out.
Take it off, take it off, take it off.
You're like 12. I just meant like mental note, next time wear something that's like a little bit darker.
Alright.
Okay. No. Okay. Any other questions?
Someone's asked about wrapping the boat. I don't think we're going to wrap her. I don't think so.
As in, as opposed to like.
Well, just to protect the gel coat.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll do that.
No, that's not our style.
No.
Heating.
No.
Yeah. What?
No.
We're going to have like a reverse cycle situation.
So we're using reverse cycle air conditioning to heat the boat if we need to.
Yeah.
So but we're not putting an Overspacker or Webasto onto it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. We're probably not going to need heating on this boat very often.
Yeah, if it gets cold, we're gone.
Yeah. It'll only be if we're in Europe, I guess early in the spring, waiting for boat shows, and then, yeah.
We'll see.
We'll see. Okay. What is happening?
Are we storing the boat? No, we're just yeah. So Rich says that we're doing high latitude sailing. No, we're not going to do high latitude sailing. I don't like the thought of that. Yeah. There you go.
Are you sure?
What about what?
High latitude
No, we're not
sailing?
doing bloody high latitude sailing. Christ, it's cold enough here.
Do you know what I'd like to do, actually? If next summer we haven't delivered River Rose yet, I would like to do. I wonder if like there's any like charter companies in Sweden or something that we can do like just a 2-week charter up in the Baltic.
So anyone that wants to go sailing with Terysa next summer, Phil, just send us a note. I will be visiting the bordellos of Thailand. Forwards.
The what of Thailand?
Bordellos. Posh name for brothel. Anyway, so we've got, our patron is Alluring Arctic. He posts all these pictures of him sailing in snow.
Okay. If you don't follow his channel, or like at least follow him on Instagram,
He's a lunatic.
you definitely should. Alluring Arctic is his username, and he is actually a lunatic, but in the best possible way. Like, he lives on his boat year round, as far as I can tell. There's all these epic photos of him like anchored in some like mad fjord, like covered in snow, and he's like literally skiing down the mountain towards this boat that's an anchor. It's crazy.
Yeah.
He is. Yeah.
He's a
people are like, yeah, I follow
really
him.
nice bloke.
Yeah.
He's pretty knowledgeable as well, but Christ, these photographs, they make me get an extra blanket just looking at them.
Yeah. I know. I had to show them to Nick, hoping that they'd like get him excited about doing high latitude, and it just it backfired on me basically. Okay. Any other questions?
Someone says, "Are you glad you went for a mono, or wish you had gone for a multi-hull before?" Honestly, I think that I'm a dyed-in-the-wool monohull sailor. I really am, and the one thing that we wanted space, and we did when we went through this whole process. When we got to the end of our Catamaran review series, we had just about decided that if we couldn't find a boat, we were going to go and start looking at monohulls.
Hey, Doodles.
Hello, Bobby.
What's going on? Nice of you to drop by.
Bobby White. Bobby, listen, I've got a for you for charity, right? No, I want you to at some point recreate Robert Palmer's video, Addicted to Love, with you singing the lead part. I will pay money to a charity of your choice if you recreate that with all your crews.
All your crew members.
That's like my number one thing I want to do this with. I will even get into
the fact that Nick's given this prior thought, evidently, is concerning.
No, this is what I want. Bobby is a Bobby.
Anyway, to answer Bobby's question, no, he's going to make it happen.
Excellent. Listen, I will come and put the mini dress on and sit in the background, right? So I'll happily be one of the girls in the background. But I just got this thing like what do I really want to see from other sailing channels, and number one is Bobby White, the legend that he is, doing Addicted to Love.
To answer your question, Bobby, no, we're not going to Annapolis.
We're not allowed.
We're not allowed. There's a travel ban. Our governments have all gotten together and decided that international travel is not going to happen.
First you throw our tea in the river, then you stop us to go to Annapolis.
Okay, I have a
Bobby, Bobby, we've been drinking very rarely together, but never bet me anything. I'll just do it. So yes, I will happily be in a dress.
Oh, that's like the least of what he will do. So do not, like, don't push him.
Yeah.
Don't do that. I saw a really good question and it's now gone. The question was along the lines of, oh, here it is. This is a question that we don't get asked. I don't know if I've ever this. Overall, are you guys happy with your social media channels and followers, as in the quality of your work and the pace of posts and interactions? That's
Right, who the hell's that? Is that from like
someone called
Elena?
Nolda.
Not, is it Lord of the Rings?
Yeah, it sounds like it. That's a great question. I think that the problem with us is that we are A, perfectionists, and B, like, we set such high standards for ourselves all the time. So us, it's always about like this. I don't think we'll ever get to the point where we're like, cool, we're happy, we're doing this now, and we'll just keep it like this. We're always like needing to improve. And so I think that we are happy with everything. We're very happy with everything that we're doing, but we also put a lot of pressure on ourselves, but not bad pressure, like good pressure on ourselves to continue to improve the quality of what we're doing.
We were talking about this earlier today, actually. YouTube and social media, it's not a science. It's not like you can learn it and then all of a sudden you read a manual, you watch a tutorial, and then you can do it. It is like playing the piano. It's an art. So every time you put a video out, you get a little bit better if you learn your craft. So really, it's a process. You can't go from being, I mean, you can go from 0 to 1 million subscribers in a month, as that Janella did, or whatever it was called, you know, with pretty clever marketing. But to get your content where you want it, where we want it, is every year is an improvement, I'd like to think. And we look back, I remember Elena actually from La Vagabond putting a video out a few years back and saying, look, this is an older video, apologies for the editing quality. And I remember thinking at the time, that's brilliant anyway what you're doing. But now it rings true that I look at what we do now, and it is so much better than to me than the stuff we did.
Yeah, and when we get comments, because we read all of your comments when you post a comment on YouTube, like there's very comments that we don't read. We might not reply to them all, but we definitely read them all. And when someone like comments on one of our old videos, like the ones in the Caribbean, and they're like, oh, I just found you, like I'm binge watching all your episodes, I'm like, like maybe like skip a few ahead, because that was, you know, we started off pretty basic. And yeah, I mean, I think that we have always done like a fun job of telling stories, but it's just the quality. I feel back then we were just doing it like for fun, and that kind of comes across, and there's nothing with that, but I guess, as I said before, like my standards are very high of myself.
That's why you chose me. Just a couple of questions that someone's asked about Seawind, and also about the monohull. Just to pick up on that, the question from about 10 minutes ago was, are you glad you bought a monohull first, or would you rather go to a catamaran? We were pretty happy with monohulls. I'm still happy with monohulls. And if we hadn't have found this boat, we would have gone back to looking at monohulls.
As in 1317.
For Ruby Rose 2.
Yeah.
So we would have been, if we'd exhausted all 19 boats and gone, actually nothing is what we want, we'll go back there. So what tempted us to go to Seawind was it has a lot of characteristics of a monohull. You know, obviously it's got 2 hulls, but it sails the pointing ability without the shenanigans of the dagger board. So the dagger boards, plus the build quality, we're pretty happy with that. Another question that we've just been asked, which is kind of an extension of that, is if we hadn't have gone with Seawind, what else was on the cards? Really, my favourite boats from all those 19, I think in second place I probably would have gone Outremer. If I had to go with a brand, if I had to go with another company, I would have probably gone to Outremer. And the reason I would have gone to Outremer is those boats they're lovely looking boats. They perform well, they are well made, and the CEO of Outremer, Xavier, is a really lovely bloke, and he is so passionate about his company. So it would have been, yeah, probably been Outremer. There were certain things about the 51 that I didn't like. They took me out actually. I flew to La Grande Motte last November, actually.
Mm.
No, actually, it was just before, it was late October after the Annapolis Boat Show. And went sailing on a 51, and I was absolutely blown away by the 51. There are certain things 51 I would have wanted to change. I thought the helm position was exposed. I didn't like that, although talking to Outremer since, they were very, they said they can modify things like that. I didn't like the position of the stove top. It's too near the stairs going down. I felt that was dangerous. And 51 to us was at the time, and probably is, too big for two of us. There's just two of us.
It is too big and too expensive. I mean, these are all catamarans are expensive, but and the obvious question probably everyone's thinking is, well, what about the 45? But the 45, and I know that La Vega won't have the 45, and they're obviously family 3, perfectly happy on board presumably. But to us, when we go on board the Outremer 45, it feels nice upstairs, but once you go down into the hold, it feels really cramped. Like, I remember when we went on board the 45, I don't know, last year sometime, I had a backpack on, and I went down into the hull, and I literally just went to, like, turn around to do a 180 and go back the other way, and my backpack was actually washing along the opposite wall, so, and I'm a small person, so, I don't know, the hulls just felt really cramped, because of the dagger boards, and
that's the thing, so basically,
hulls.
if you've got a 45-foot boat, then if you watch that, those two, the first episode that we did about catamaran design, the width of the hull has to be a certain width. There's a width to length ratio that is optimum for performance catamarans. If you are having to put dagger boards into that, and you've got
your arms, I'm suddenly uncomfortable.
If you are having to put dagger boards in, it does mean that the available space you've got inside those hulls is reduced. No matter how you do it, whether they're overt like Outremer, or I think Balance, I think have got them kind of, you don't see them, but they're still there. So you lose internal volume. I know what our sailing is. Our sailing has never been. It's probably a little bit lazy, actually. We've been doing this for so long that I'm not often, unless we're trying to really squeeze everything out of the boat because we're trying to make a tidal gate, or because we are late and we're going to miss port of entry but it's only got tidal access. We're not always sailing and trimming the twin sails all the time. Literally, we'll set the sails and we'll move them. Probably I'll adjust them every time we change course, or probably on average probably once an hour, if I'm doing like a 100-mile passage. It's more frequent if we're ever racing or if we're tacking, but generally, things like the outhaul, the Traveller and other bits and bobs, once we're on a course, they tend to be set. That's just the sailing that we do. To then have dagger boards to tinker with and all that malarkey, I kind of wanted the simplicity of not having dagger boards. And so what it is, it's pointing ability on one hand, and the performance of that and the stability of that against simplicity and space. And for us moving from a monohull to a catamaran, I just wanted the space. But if you have watched the second part of our Technical Tuesday series on catamaran design, pointing in catamarans, the dagger board's only one part of it. So the performance of those catamarans, it's weight. And we had a really nice message on that video from Willem Gelbert, who's a good friend of ours, who is the COO of Gunboat. So he knows his shit backwards. He's an absolute lightweight, and he still owes me a beer. So he just said, look, the three most important things when designing a performance catamaran are weight, weight, and weight. Those are the three things. Everything after that is secondary. And there were some fools on the internet were like, oh, your naval architect's like not old enough to know what he's doing. Like, he is. He's like pretty super qualified. The design of Ribeirões 2 is Francois Perrou, so he's like a god in catamaran design. But and it's really nice when you see other naval architects like Willem, who as I said, is theoretically the competition, in that he comes from Gunboat, saying it's all about weight. It's all about weight.
We've had some really cool people pop into this live chat, and Sailing have just popped in, and and Jessica, yes, it's a very strong sparkling water. So I know that it's 2 minutes to 5, and you're probably kind of got one arm reaching towards the fridge for your nightly beer, but
Matt gets his little glass bowl out and tucks on his crack pipe.
But I'm not quite there yet.
No, we're
soon, Jessica, very soon.
There you go.
Okay, a good question from Kristen Killeran. I hope I pronounced that correctly. they are considering a Seawind 1160 as a boat that they can afford while sticking to our love for the Seawind series. What are your thoughts on the smaller Seawind as a liveaboard? And all I would say is that Learning the Lines, who were also here earlier, they're probably not here anymore, just did several videos on the 1160 because I think maybe they're considering it. I'm not quite sure. So yeah, go and check out their channel, Learning the Lines. They've done some videos on the 1160.
Yeah, I mean, for us, the thing about the 1160 is a really, really good value boat, and I think storage space on the 1160 will be far higher than the storage space we've got on here. So you will be able to store a lot more. The difference is, because it's a catamaran, how the actual weight that you can store, and I think that it's probably going to be pretty sensitive to what you can put on board. I don't know any of the stats on the 1160, but my thoughts are that, you know, you are going to be like looking at, you know, cutting down on bottles and plates and stuff to try and keep them low. Just because, you know, it is a smaller boat, it is very lightweight, but you know. But
it's such a great option, and I definitely think that if that's a Seawind that you can afford and you want to go now, then go for it. It's a fantastic boat, and I mean, all I would say is that you know, you can easily, I don't know where you are, but if you're sorry if you can hear that cyclist, if you're in America, I think there's several on the East Coast that you can charter, and if you're in Australia, then there'd definitely be some that you can charter. So maybe chartering one for a week would be a good option.
I'm not sure what the other thing is. I don't know what the lead time is on the 1160. I know that the lead time on the 1370 is astronomical, the 1600 is astronomical. So I think with all the Seawinds at the moment, you know, if you're going to buy one, don't dilly-dally, because they do kind of, you know, there's a long wait for them at the moment.
Yeah, there's a lot of demand. Graham Henderson says, regarding the video that we put out a couple of weeks ago about, a couple of weeks ago, I put out a video which had a little...
Okay, keep going. I'm getting...
Oh, okay. Yeah.
What leaving?
That had a little scene in it. Babe, like, all the white balance is gone now that you're not here. The balance is, the colour's completely different. That had a little scene in it that, I think was like a glimpse into kind of our off-camera dynamic sometimes, where it's just like, well, you're living on a small boat with one other person, and sometimes it's frustrating. So your question is, how do you cope with the issues and stresses of living together all the time? And the honest answer is that it took us about, I would say, a solid 18 to 24 months to settle into the new. We had to learn how to live together again. Because when we were in London, you know, we lived together for 5 years. We were together for a long time, and but it was different. You know, we were going to work every day separately. We had our own separate group of friends. We didn't socialise together. You know, it's not like we weren't part of the same social group. We had our own social groups, and so our lives were actually quite separate. Obviously, we loved the time that we did spend together, but it was real learning curve going from that to living on a small boat together 24/7. So yeah, it's a learning curve. There's no secret to it. You just have to do it and be patient with each other, I guess. Okay.
What did I miss?
Absolutely nothing. See, the colours all changed again. Okay, so Michelle says, who does most of the filming? Nick, who does most of the filming right here?
Me. Terysa doesn't really do much anymore. She sits on a bed of ostrich feathers and commands me. And I literally...
Go on.
I walk around tugging my forelock and obeying her, or you get the wrath of Terysa. So yeah, so I do all the filming, all the editing, most of the maintenance, and Terysa points with a little golden finger at me. No.
BS, says Kevin. Yes, Kevin. You're correct. Yeah, no, yeah, clearly I do.
You do most of the filming.
Yeah, I would say
4 to 5% of it.
Basically all of it. Occasionally you're quite... Don't you get all indignant? I saw that expression. Yeah. I'm often trying to encourage Nick. He'd probably call it nagging. I would say gently encouraging Nick to pick up the camera
over and over again.
Yeah, to no avail. Okay, so any more questions?
We'll be over 75 minutes. There you go.
Good question by Matthew. What has COVID done to the new and used sailboat market?
You can't buy a used boat for love nor money.
Yeah, seems like there's a lot of demand.
We were having this discussion on Patreon when this whole COVID thing kicked off months ago, and everyone's like, in our WhatsApp group, everyone's, there's two camps. Some people think it was going to collapse. Some people are saying that it was going to be, it was going to ramp up. You can't buy a used sailboat for love nor money.
Good question by Alan. Terysa, will you do the helming and docking of Ruby Rose 2? Yes, Nick and I have spoken about this at length, and
I've been spoken to at length. No, I've been spoken to at length.
And yeah, I think that we're gonna. Well, yeah, I think so. The problem is that, and I've tried to explain this to Nick, that like the inevitable will happen, and mistakes will be made while I'm at the helm.
No, they won't.
By me.
You're very good. You're very good at helming. Helm.
Helmswoman.
Helmswoman.
Yeah, I know, but I don't do any close quarter maneuvering. I do a lot
I
of.
do sometimes.
500 people watching, Nick. Yes, I'm going to be doing more close quarter maneuvering. I do a lot of the helming already. Travis, have you been on board the Sea-Wind 1160 Light? Yes, we have. We didn't film it though. We went on board quite briefly in Annapolis. Travis says, review the 1160. Look, we've done all the catamaran reviews.
Yeah, I don't think we any more catamaran.
We're not going back there.
Actually, that's not. I think if something comes to the market, I would probably like to go and see it. I like to go and look at boats anyway. I mean, I think there's a few manufacturers that will not let us on.
There was actually a question. Did you consider the Balance 442? And no, we didn't, because we didn't know about the Balance 442, and we really love the Sea-Winds. So Balance, we thought the Balance 526 was it called again? 526 was amazing, but it didn't seem to quite fit us as well as the Sea-Wind did. But I will be very interested to go on board the Balance 442.
I would as well.
Obviously, right then. Trying to get involved. Yes, dear. Yes, you'll be looking forward to it also. Because a lot of people are saying that, they're kind of tossing up between the Balance 442 and the Sea-Wind 1370, that those two are, kind of being grouped together as two potential options that are tossing up between. So yeah, I'll be interested to go on board and have a look.
Yeah. Although I think that Phil Berman has now got those flying monkeys from the Wizard of Oz, in case we get anywhere near the boat.
We were very complimentary of the Balance.
Yeah, but we ended up buying a Sea-Wind.
Oh well. Someone says, greetings from Croatia. Come and sail the Adriatic. We'd love to.
We'll be there in November.
We're going to come to Croatia. Well, we're hoping to come to Croatia in November for a conference. But COVID. Okay.
I think we're done. Any final questions? We'll wrap this up in a minute. So, any final questions from anyone there? I think we've answered a lot. Someone's asked about appliances on Ruby Rose 2. Definitely a washing machine. Maybe a washer dryer. We're just going to run through all that. Yeah. Somerset Jim says beers when we meet. Absolutely. To all of you, all 773 of you. When we meet, beers are on us. Always.
Where are you guys selling cheese, says Jason? That's an excellent question.
UK.
The UK. We're kind of thinking that we go back to France, because Cherbourg is a lot closer to the UK than we are right now, and it's an easier jump. We can't do it now because France is on the naughty list.
Well, we may have to go back in quarantine.
No, I'm not quarantining.
No.
We'll wait for a weather window to get to the UK. Okay, when's massage making a reappearance? Alistair, thank you very much.
Thank you. Shell says, is someone filming Ruby Rose 2 build for us? Yeah, we will be.
Yeah. That'll be us. Okay. Cool.
Are we good? So listen, it's what day is it? Sunday? No, Saturday. Saturday evening. I hope that you are all safe, doing what you do, happy, sound. That if it's time for an evening beverage, that you enjoy a beverage with your loved ones, and if it's just time for coffee in the morning, then again enjoy your coffee. And we will see you all
Soon.
Soon, yeah, soon. So listen, look after yourselves, all of you, every single one of you. And don't forget to like as well. Anyway, we'll see you very soon. Take care.
Thanks, Richard.